You're listening to Myers-Briggs Question Corner with Edythe Richards.
Today's question is from John, who says, I am an ISTJ in charge of 10 direct reports. I recently found out that 2 of them are ISTP, and these 2 people are the most difficult ones in my charge. We seem to have a barrier in communication and work style. For example, they do not follow standard operating procedures, have to be reminded to document their work, and have an informal attitude in situations that require formality. Do you have any advice for us to work together more effectively? So even though there's only 1 letter difference between an ISTJ and an ISTP, these 2 Myers-Briggs types are very different in their behavior. This is because they have 0 cognitive functions in common. I'll first describe the communication styles of each, point out differences between them, and provide suggestions for ISTJs and ISTPs to work together productively. In short, ISTJs are a database of past experiences and information. ISTPs are the path of least resistance. ISTJ's communication style is straightforward, practical, and logical. They prefer to have comprehensive, detailed information ahead of time so that they can prepare and present their facts as accurately as possible. They trust and remember specific information that they have gained from their experience, and they tend to have a wealth of specialized information stored in their memories. ISTJs aren't at their best spur of the moment, nor do they work best with short lists or vague information. The more detail, the better. The more step-by-step instructions provided in order for them to achieve a realistic goal, the better. Now, this is quite different from the ISTP style. Like ISTJs, ISTPs will come across as relatively reserved, especially at first glance, but that's pretty much where the similarities end. ISTPs value efficiency and will cut through the red tape in order to achieve it with the least effort possible. Though they are detail-oriented, they are focused on details in the external world, with little interest or regard for what's going on behind the scenes. They're much more flexible and easygoing than ISTJs. Strict rules and procedures and telling them exactly how to do something is not going to work for ISTPs, nor is being wordy and expecting them to read through pages and pages of regulations. In fact, that's probably the worst thing to do to an ISTP. So a bit about cognitive functions for each of these types. ISTJ types use extroverted thinking, which is a function concerned with proving facts, effective procedures, direct logical systems and guidelines, and goal attainment. ISTPs use introverted thinking, which focuses on the objective internal world of underlying principles and an understanding of how things work. ISTJs use introverted sensing, which is an information gathering process which features an internal database of sorts where the user re-experiences the past in vivid sensory detail and uses the past as a guide for exploring the current experience. ISTPs, on the other hand, use extroverted sensing, which is an outward focus on the sensory environment, which is why they want to be doing something hands-on and have a now is the time mentality. While ISTJs may ask, why reinvent the wheel? ISTPs may say, get to the point. In terms of how both of these Myers-Briggs types come across to each other, ISTJs will be more focused on timelines and results with clear, measurable objectives and benchmarks. We see many ISTJs in leadership roles in business or white-collar environments because these workplaces support their inherent preferences. ISTJs will adhere far more to conventional norms and the politics of the environment than their ISTP counterparts. But ISTPs will show up with more of a social ease and may even be charming, and this is a quality many ISTJs lack. ISTPs will be less concerned about preserving the past and will look for immediate applications. We'll see ISTPs in hands-on work, such as police, firefighter, mechanic, athletes, photographers, careers that are technical, give tangible results, and where the ISTP can be independent and autonomous. With these differences, it's easy to see where communication can go wrong. ISTJs, here are 3 tips you can use to best communicate with ISTPs. First, summarize the information. ISTPs don't need to know every little detail, the whys or the hows. Just give it to them straight and tell them what needs to be done. Second, don't expect things to be perfect the first time, and by all means, don't micromanage. Despite how it seems, ISTPs tend to be highly critical of themselves, and they may value their own self-assessment over your feedback. Try to balance negative feedback with positive. Know that they will do their best when they are given a high amount of freedom and autonomy, as well as the time and space to just work. Third, and perhaps most importantly, try to be open-minded to their point of view and try not to be so formal with them. Encourage them to speak up. Just because they have a different viewpoint than you do doesn't necessarily make them wrong. They're going to challenge inefficiency, so be prepared for this. But keep in mind that they're also focused on the outcome, and you might just get there more quickly and easily if you implement their strategies. Now, ISTPs, you too could use some tips in communicating with ISTJs and others. Here are 3. First, try to understand their point of view. ISTJs are also logical and probably have a great deal of experience if they're the ones in charge. They value standard operating procedures. Acknowledging this and their expertise will increase the chances of finding a solution that works for everyone. Second, think about the long term. Yes, you're a great troubleshooter, but you don't always consider the long-term implications. Doing a little more work in the present will save you time in the future. Third, and perhaps most important, know that politics are part of any workplace, and developing rapport with others becomes increasingly important the higher you move up the corporate ladder. Others may not want to work with you if you come across as too detached, impersonal, or unwilling to play by the rules, and this can hurt your chances of success. John, I really appreciate the question. To recap, my 3 tips for working with your ISTP direct reports. Less detail is more, be open to their point of view, and resist the urge to micromanage. By all means, remember that while you want to hear or read everything, ISTPs want a brief summary. In order to work effectively, you need to keep the needs of others as well as your own in mind. Thank you for your question.
Thanks for listening to this episode. If you'd like to hear more, or you'd like to submit a question yourself, then you can find us at www.atopcareer.com. Until next time. MBTI and Myers-Briggs are registered trademarks of the MBTI Trust.